Once upon a time, there lived a prince who, in addition to being kind-hearted, noble, and brave, was also immensely rich, talented, handsome, brilliant, basically a paragon of everything good in the—
Get on with it! Yes, get on with it!
Sorry. Once upon a time, there lived a benevolent prince who woke before the sun to make his kingdom a nice place to live. One day, a terrible plague fell upon the castle. Most of the castle's occupants became infected. Because the prince hadn't succumbed to the illness, the king and queen had no choice but to send their son into exile to keep him safe, in a truly heartbreaking scene. We're talking a real tearjerker. In fact, it should have got me shortlisted as some kind of literary award, but oh, alright. So the prince left his home to a palace by the lakes from which he could perform his royal duties. The prince was efficient in performing his duties, which left many hours to fill when he had finished his work for the day. Luckily, the prince was very intelligent, brainy, well-educated, gifted, naturally talented. Don't mention he's also an incredible genius.
Get on with it!
Yes, sorry about that. Anyway, the prince was wise and brought a number of devices with him to help while away his leisure time, while he waited for the day when he could finally return to his home and to his family. Knowing that the plague could return, the prince made notes of how he amused himself during his exile, and decided to share the ideas worldwide in a list that I shall now narrate. It's Snooty Nerds! Top 10 games to bring into exile with you! When you go into exile, you'll naturally want games with a lot of replay value, and Final Fantasy V has this in spades. Its expansive job system lets you have a different experience every time you play the game. You can keep your favourite jobs throughout the game, or experiment with something new. A thief with black magic? It can be done! A knight that defies the laws of chivalry and can steal? No reason not to. It also helps with the story is a lot more open to the comedic than the usual Final Fantasy affair. There's a few Tales of games available on handhelds, but for the sake of this list I'm going with the Switch version of Tales of Vesperia. It is, after all, the best version of one of the most popular installments in the franchise. One of the reasons that the Tales of series is one of my favourites is because of how replayable the games are. This series makes the best use of the New Game Plus feature by letting you spend the grade you've earned to buy new perks for your next playthrough. Carry over all the arts you've learned, keep all your items and costumes. You can even give yourself 10 times the normal amount of experience points. Not to mention there's new dungeons, bosses and cutscenes that you can only see on subsequent playthroughs. You won't see everything the first, second, or even the 5th time you play. While you're in exile, you're likely to be all alone for a good length of time. Great! A chance to get caught up on some reading.
It's such a great life to be surrounded by books.
100 Classic Books collection essentially lets you read a lot of public domain novels on your DS. There's a great selection here, including Shakespeare, Dickens, the Bronte sisters, Alexander Dumas. You could argue that it's more of an app than a game, but it's still a lot cheaper than an iPad. Besides, isn't it nice and sophisticated to have an evening of culture and find literature every once in a while? While you're in isolation, it will be useful to keep your brain healthy with a good puzzle game, and the simple but addictive one that came bundled with the original Game Boy is one you could easily play for hours. Don't get, I nearly overloaded my hard drive recording footage for my top 10 Game Boy games. Thankfully, there are plenty of versions to choose from on pretty much any Nintendo handheld. There's a tried and true original for the Game Boy and the 3DS Virtual Console, the fully loaded Tetris DS, or the competitive online chaos of Tetris 99. You can't go wrong with any of them, so basically just pick your poison. Now, if you want to get serious about keeping your brain in good condition, here's the game you'll want to take with you. Dr. Kawashima has composed some simple mental gymnastics and can track your scores to show how much your brain has improved over a period of time. Not that my brain needs much training, of course, since I'm already an incredible genius. That doesn't count! That happened because my microphone wasn't working! Brain training is all well and good, but what about people? What about company? Well, to scratch that particular itch, there's always Animal Crossing. It lets you do all the little things that you took for granted before you were sent into exile, like visiting friends, running errands, and indulging your obsession with home improvement. We're not talking about the TV show. You can celebrate the holidays with your animal chums, and best of all, while you may not be able to see your friends in real life, you can still invite them over for online fun and games. There ain't no party like an Animal Crossing party, cause an Animal Crossing party don't stop. Well, actually it does, because I've got work tomorrow. So, there's a sequel to Breath of the Wild in the pipeline. That's nice, but how many of you are still working on the first one? With a game world as big as a real-life country, there's always plenty to do in post-apocalyptic Hyrule. There's literally hundreds of shrines to find, there's all the equipment to find and upgrade, and over 900 Korok seeds. Yes, I know it's a joke about poop. There's so much to do in this game outside of the main story quest, and that's before we even get onto the DLC. I've invested well over 100 hours in this game, and I still haven't got my hands on that motorbike. While we're on the subject of epic open-world games, let's talk about the Elder Scrolls series. Skyrim is a game that can and will take over your life. Even after you've travelled the length and breadth of Tamriel, saved a day, settled down and got married, you can always start again with a new character, a new species, a new class. You can marry a different spouse, zigzag between good and evil, join a different guild, take on different quests. The possibilities are endless. And before you start spamming it in the comment section, the arrow to the knee meme was not funny when the game first came out, it's not funny now, and it wasn't funny in the hundreds of other videos comment sections where you've spammed it to try and make yourself look funny. Since you're going to be away for a while, you might find it beneficial to have a creative outlet, but I know that pen and paper isn't for everyone, so Super Mario Maker might be more up your street. You have all the tools to create your own Mario levels, with the only limit being your imagination. So it's not a game for those unimaginative fools who think that quoting a meme automatically makes it funny. I'm talking to you, people who've already typed out arrow to the knee during my Skyrim segment. And in addition to being able to create your own Mario levels, you can also play levels created by people all over the world. Mario Maker is literally a game where the fun never ends. Okay, I actually agonised over what sort of game I should put for number 1 on this list. Of course, the no-brainer would be an epic RPG with hours of content, or perhaps a strategy RPG with plenty of different characters to try out. On the other hand, since you're going to be away from home for a while, maybe you'd like a comforting platform game from your childhood, or maybe another puzzle game for some more brain training. But then I had to ask the question, why limit yourself? Relive the happy days of the Sega Megadrive with Megadrive Classics Collection. You have epic RPGs like Phantasy Star and Shining Force, puzzle games like Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, timeless side-scrollers like Sonic and Shinobi, and stress-relieving beat-em-ups like Golden Axe and Streets of Rage. Pretty much any genre of game to keep your spirits up while you're away from home for any length of time. What do you mean this is cheating? I never said no compilation titles, did I? It still all counts as one game after all! And those are the games that the benevolent prince recommends that you take with you if you ever find yourself sent into exile. As always, let me know your own suggestions in the comments below. Just remember to stay safe and keep washing your hands.